Men dispute about world outlooks. They ought not to dispute, but would do much better to understand why it happens that people have different world outlooks. Apart from the 7 world outlooks I have drawn here, there can be no others, only transitions from one to another. For the moment, we need not go into the transitional ones. One can specially cultivate each of these 7 world outlook moods, and each of them can exist in one or other shade. What I have just depicted is actually the spiritual correlative of what we find externally in the world as the relations between the signs of the zodiac and the planets, the 7 planets familiar in spiritual science, so that we can feel Gnosticism as Saturn, logicism as Jupiter, voluntarism as Mars, empiricism as Sun, mysticism as Venus, transcendentalism as Mercury, and occultism as Moon. Let us begin with idealism, and let us mark it with the mental zodiacal sign of Aries. In like manner, let us mark rationalism as Taurus, mathematism as Gemini, materialism as Cancer, sensationalism as Leo, phenomenalism as Virgo, realism as Libra, dynamism as Scorpio, monadism as Sagittarius, spiritism as Capricorn, pneumatism as Aquarius, and psychism as Pisces. Thus we have an external picture, not invented, but standing out there in the cosmos, for the relations of our 7 world outlook moods to our 12 shades of world outlook. The relations which exist spatially between the individual zodiacal signs are actually present between these shades of world outlook in the realm of spirit. And the relations which are entered into by the planets as they follow their orbits through the zodiac correspond to the relations which the 7 world outlook moods enter into. Anyone really in earnest about truth must endeavor to recognize for what domain of existence one or other variety holds the best key, must try clearly to understand the significance of these 12 typical varieties, would have to be able to represent the 12 shades of world outlook in his soul. He would have to know in terms of his own experience what it means to be a Gnostic, a logician, a voluntarist, an empiricist, a mystic, a transcendentalist, an occultist. All this must be gone through experimentally by anyone who wants to penetrate into the secrets of the universe according to the ideas of spiritual science. In that half of the brain which is found by the anatomist, and of which one may say that it is shaped like a half hemisphere, those activities of the spiritual cosmos which proceed from the upper nuances are specially operative. Broad-mindedness is all too seldom sought. Often a man is so one-sided that he lets himself be influenced by only one constellation, by one mood. We find this particularly in great men. Thus, for example, Hammerling is an out-and-out monadist or a monadologistic voluntarist. Schopenhauer is a pronounced voluntaristic psychist. It is precisely great men who have so adjusted their souls that their world outlook mood stands in a definite spiritual constellation. But it can also happen that men are stimulated from various sides in reaching their world outlook, or for what they place before themselves as world outlook. Thus someone may be a good logician, but his logical mood stands in the constellation of sensationalism. He can at the same time be a good empiricist, but his empirical mood stands in the constellation of mathematism. This may happen. When it does happen, a quite definite world outlook is produced. We have an example. All the details in the philosophical writings can be grasped when the secret of his special psychic configuration has been penetrated. The effect is especially good when a person has experienced, by way of exercises, the various psychic moods, so that he can conjure them up in his mind and feel all their effects at once. In short, by means of the constellation given through the world outlook moods, the planetary element, and through the nuances connected with the spiritual zodiac, the world picture which a person carries with him through a given incarnation is called forth. But there is one more thing. These world pictures, they have many nuances if you reckon with all their combinations, are modified yet again by possessing quite definite tones. But we have only 3 tones to distinguish. All world pictures, all combinations which arise in this manner can appear in one of 3 ways: theism, intuitionism, and naturalism, side by side, and each with its justification. And their relation to one another in the soul of man is exactly like that of sun, moon, and earth, so that theism corresponds to the sun, intuitionism to the moon, and naturalism to the earth. Lastly, there is a special thing. It occurs only in a single case, when a person, taking all the world pictures to some extent, restricts himself only to what he can experience on or around or in himself. That is anthropomorphism. It is not by insisting on one of these tones, but by letting them sound together, that one arrives at the truth. And just as our intimate corporeal relation with sun, moon, and earth is placed in the midst of the 7 planets, so anthropomorphism is the world outlook nearest to the harmony that can sound forth from theism, intuitionism, and naturalism. While this harmony, again, is closest to the conjoined effect of the 7 psychic moods. And these 7 moods are shaded according to the 12 signs of the zodiac. You see, it is not true to talk in terms of one cosmic conception, but of 12 plus 7 equals 19, plus 3 equals 22, plus 1 equals 23 cosmic conceptions, which all have their justification. We have 23 legitimate names for cosmic conceptions, but all the rest can arise from the fact that the corresponding planets pass through the 12 spiritual signs of the encircling zodiac. And now try, from what has been explained, to enter into the task confronting spiritual science, the task of acting as peacemaker among the various world outlooks. The way to peace is to realize that the world outlooks conjointly, in their reciprocal action on one another, can be in a certain sense explained, but that they cannot lead into the inner nature of truth if they remain one-sided. One must experience in oneself the truth value of the different world outlooks, in order, if one may say so, to be in agreement with truth. I might take all this further, but we have only 4 periods to spend on this important subject, and for the present I must leave you to look for more exact connections, either throughout your own thinking or through other investigations. If we had the time, we could mention examples for each soul mood in each constellation. The connections are not difficult to find when the model has been given. They are to be found in the world. The best impression one can retain from the whole subject would lead one to say, it opens out for me a feeling for the immensity of the world, for the qualitatively sublime in the world, for the possibility that man can exist in endless variety in this world. Truly, if we consider only this, we can already say to ourselves, there is no lack of varied possibilities open to us for the different incarnations that we have to go through on earth. And one can also feel sure that anyone who looks at the world in this light will be impelled to say, quote, "Ah, how grand, how rich the world is. What happiness it is to go on, taking part in ways ever more varied in its existence, its activities, its endeavors," close quote,